Thank you so much for joining us. The weather is getting nicer, which means many of us will be spending more time outdoors. At least, hopefully, we will be. Up to 90% of our day is actually spent indoors, where air pollution can be up to 5 times worse. Being outdoor will also allow us to spend more time in the sun. The sun does more to the body than just give us a tan or for some of us, a burn. It also regulates our body's natural rhythm. That's why today we're really excited to be chatting with Erika Smith. Erika is a scientist with a bachelor in biology and specializes in using food, sunlight, and sleep to heal a leaky gut. We're going to discuss how the sun is essential for our health, how it can help with digestive issues, and the role of your sleep patterns. So,
Hi, how are you? Oh
good. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us.
my gosh, this is like my pleasure. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's like the perfect day. Even like yesterday, it was a little overcast. Today is like totally sunny, and I will be talking about this topic.
Great, it's a good day. I'm in Florida, and even though we have a lot of sunny days, today was not my best sunny day, but that's okay.
That's totally okay. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you became a scientist.
Yes, wonderful. So, first, like I said, I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to chat about this because I believe it's such an important part of achieving good health. Um, so, thank you very much. I was born and raised in a small island called Puerto Rico, and I graduated with my biology degree from Purdue University in Indiana. And as I grew up, I was exposed to living with cancer. My grandmother suffered through with cancer for as long as I can remember her living, really. And so my goal was always to find a cure for it. And so in essence, that's really why I chose biology as my major. I wanted to be the scientist that found the cure.
This is cool. I mean, your background is in biology, but then you specialize in food, sunlight, sleep, gut health, and then these all seem like, four completely different things. Like, what made you come to realize that, they are all connected?
Yeah. So I know it seems like it's unrelated, but that's where my biology and love for cell biology actually really comes in, as well as my personal struggles with weight. Personally, I love to cook. I love food, and I love to eat food as well. And I was a child of the '80s and fantasized about being a runway model, or at least like looking like one. I think if you were born in the '80s, you probably suffered with that. So that combined with a house full of people that really struggled with their weight was a terrible recipe for the ways I decided to take control of the weight management and appearance. For many years, I yo-yo dieted. I used diet pills, excessive exercise, and plainly not eating to actually get skinny. So as I aged, it became harder and harder to maintain that low weight for longer and longer after I did those crash diets. And I actually stopped with the shenanigans and really started going back to my scientific roots, figuring it out once my husband got told that he had high blood pressure. And so at that point, I was like really, really after my first pregnancy of like hormones crashing from all the damage that I had done in the past and suffered from postpartum depression with both my pregnancies. I really was sort of fed up with all of it myself. And then to come find out my husband who ran every day, we were supposedly eating all the right things but we were still struggling. So I was like, there's something missing here. So I really dug deep and started figuring out that, there's just all of it is related. It's all related. You can't separate one from the other.
And you also focus on gut health, right? Like, what role does gut health play in our overall
Uh,
well-being?
in my opinion, gut health is the role of your health. Like, without your gut health, you really will have nothing. It's where we're most vulnerable. Our gut at some areas is one cell thick. It provides our immunity. It provides the actual protection from the outside world to us. We think of our skin as this, but it really goes all the way in. So just because we don't see it doesn't mean that it's still on the outside. So that is so important. It also is what's providing us our nutrients, what we actually need. So if it can't do that, then we're eating for nothing. So immunity, nutrition, health is just so, so important.
I know it's also have to do with sunlight and your skin and everything. So that's also our topic. So now back to the sun. Why do human need exposure to the sun?
Uh, uh, so you can go really philosophical with this, but I'm going to stick with the science. We need it for vitamin D synthesis. Now, this is usually called, it's called a vitamin, but it's more related to a hormone, and it's responsible for our bone health, the calcium absorption, amongst many other things. But two, we need to see the sun to establish and maintain a circadian rhythm, which is your internal clock. And so I like how we say internal clock, because it's really setting the clock, not just for you, but for your gut microbiome. Mm-hmm. So, we watch our clock on the outside, but our inside really needs that internal clock. And we need to do that through sunlight. And then the third major reason why I think we need to see the sun is mood. Sunlight exposure will boost your serotonin levels, which can help with mood. It's kind of been proven that it does help with mood. And that's why many suffer from seasonal depression in the winter in the areas that you can't really see the sun or get that UV exposure during the winter.
So you mentioned like a vitamin D is more like a hormone, right? So it's like, so it also have to do with regulating your hormone and also your bone health and then everything else.
Yeah, so it's called a vitamin, but it's more like a multifunctional sort of hormone or a pro-hormone. So it can be obtained from our diet, direct sunlight, as well, or you could supplement it. But the most common is to synthesize this from the cholesterol that sort of sits on our skin. And I know cholesterol gets a bad rep, but we need that cholesterol in order to get that vitamin D. And that vitamin D has been shown to enhance the effects of the immune system, your cardiovascular system, your endocrine system, and other metabolic pathways. So if you're struggling with weight, you likely are struggling with your vitamin D production. And so there's evidence as well that vitamin D also plays a role in pain, depression, and cancer.
Oh, wow. How much time should we spend in the sun daily then, just to getting enough of that vitamin D?
So this doesn't have a clear black and white answer. However, and the reason is because sun exposure will depend on your skin tone, your geographical location, and even your metabolic state. So this is why I always start with recommending something like an app called D-Minder. That's the one that I use. It actually asks for a lot of basic information before it starts determining how much sun you need or how much time you need in the sun. And you can time your sun. It'll tell you when you can switch to keep you from burning. And it will tell you how much vitamin D you actually have developed or generated in that amount of time. So I really, really like to start with that. But say you don't want to do that and you don't want to download another app and you want to keep it really simple. I always say it's great to have at least 5 minutes of sunrise time, 20 to 30 minutes before 10 o'clock in the morning. And then a bonus, if you can get sunset time in, again, 5 to 10 minutes, that would be the minimum recommendations that I would say.
I love it. It feels doable.
Yes. You'll feel so much better though.
Like you also mentioned sun gazing to help reset your biological clock. So what is sun gazing like? What is a safe way to practice it?
So sun gazing is just a fancy way of saying to stare at the sun. Let's be honest. But people will be apprehensive to do that, and I think that we should be. And the reason is because there are safe ways to do this, and there are really, really terrible ways to do this. So first and foremost, you never want to stare at the sun past 30 minutes of sunrise. Some people will say 60 minutes. I like to keep it on the safe side and say, if it says sunrise is at 6:30, do not look past, to the sun past 7 o'clock in the morning. I would say the best way to do it is to start by seconds, like just, going up and looking at it and then shoving down your eyes down, and then increase it like 2 seconds the next day, 3 seconds, 5 seconds. There are people that go up to 30 seconds or 30 minutes. I haven't gotten up to that. And again, I'm a mom of two. I'm running like crazy. So if I get a few seconds of sun gazing and 5 minutes of sunrise exposure in the morning, I'm calling it a win. But another thing to consider, I mentioned a little bit about metabolic state, and I would say that if you are overweight and you are not metabolically flexible, you do not enter into ketosis or a fat burning mode in the morning, like that you're not there, I would not stare at the sun. And the reason is because you're going to be carrying really high sugar contents, and we don't want to burn those sugars and create, other issues. So I would say it's just sun exposure without sun gazing. I want to mention that if you haven't really kind of toned it down and gone back to that metabolic flexibility and know that you're super clean in the morning.
Interesting. How can sun gazing help with your biological clock?
So the sun rays exposure help regulate that circadian rhythm. We have a chiasmatic bundle in our eyes that transmits this information to the rest of our body, but mainly what I focus on is the gut microbiome. And that is what's determining our internal clock. So that exposure to that morning sunlight, especially during the first hour, during and after sunrise, will help not only reset the circadian rhythm if you're having any issues, but it will promote better sleep at night.
You literally, you just mentioned what I was going to ask next. It was like, how does it help with the sleep? Like, should we avoid as much light as possible, also before going to sleep?
Yeah. So again, we live in a society where things are so different now, where we have TVs and computers and we're always sort of with light. And I found this very interesting because one of my pillars that I work with is sleep. Like I think sleep is extremely important. And there is a 5% of the population that actually only needs 5 hours of sleep. And they carry a gene that really allows them to do that. The rest of the population, the rest of us, if you're sleeping 5 hours, you're wrong. And you can get tested. If you're like a consistent 5 hours and I feel good and everybody keeps telling me go get tested. But that's a different chat. I would say that if you are wanting to have good sleep, you should watch sunset. Sunset provides a buffer for Netflix watching. It's an interesting effect that it does, but it's been proven that if you do watch sunrise or sunset, you have a little bit of a buffer. You can do a little bit of blue light at night and still not affect. I don't necessarily recommend, going back to blue lights after sunset, but when the sun sets, I typically will wear blue light blockers, and I will also change my screens to red so that you don't get any blue light from them. And that way, if I have to use them, which I try not to, I try to put them away an hour or two before bedtime, then I go ahead and prevent the blue lights from coming in. But the other thing that we can do is eliminate any lights from top. So anything that you have from above, we're creatures, we're animals, and we're known, we know that if the sun is coming from above our eyes, science, our bodies are telling us it's still daytime. So use lamps, use candles, and all of those things. I think of Edison with the light bulb, and he actually was one of the ones that is thought to have had the gene where he only needed 5 hours of sleep. So out of necessity, the guy is running around in darkness and he's like, I need to come up with some light. So good for him. He had the gene of 5 hours. The rest of us, now we have all these light bulbs and we don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. That's funny. You mentioned that the sun and also have to play in our gut health. Besides adding sun gazing outdoor time to our routine, what are some easy things we can do to improve our gut health daily?
So I think that some of the keys to improve our gut health would be grounding. And I like to mention things that are either free or really simple. That's one of the other things I say. A lot of things that I recommend are going to be simple. It might not be easy, right? It's not easy to wake up at sunrise time, but it's a simple ask. So grounding and anything that helps reduce stress, oh my gosh, it's going to make a huge difference in your gut microbiome. I don't know that we understand how much our stress affects the health of our microbiome. And then lastly, food. I mean, staying away from processed foods and just sticking to real food.
Love it. Love it. I feel like the food and gut health is such an important theme. And then just not eating processed, it's like so important, not just for our gut health, but for mood and then for hormones and then for everything else.
Yeah, and again, the reason is because we're feeding that gut bacteria. We don't a lot of times, that gut brain axis is becoming a little bit more popular, but it is true, if we have these good guys in there sending good signals to our brain, we're gonna do a lot better. 90% or 80% of that serotonin is being produced in our stomach. So we have to make sure that we got good guys in there creating that for us. So high fiber, polyphenols, good quality proteins, and really, really good fats.
Mm-hmm. It seems that could get overwhelming. You have these one-on-one counseling service. So like, tell us about it. Like, what does a session with you look like?
Oh, so my one-on-ones are my favorite. I get to really dive deep with my clients, and we get to find the root causes of stuff. And even look at the psychology of how we ended up here. Like I mentioned earlier, I struggled with that. We all have sort of baggage that comes with us, grandparents that suffered with cancer, parents, siblings that struggle with weight loss. And what did we grab from those experiences? And what are we kind of dragging on and still using all of that? So I like my one-on-ones because it doesn't get to be a cookie cutter sort of approach. We really get to do more. And that's where I find the biggest success with my clients, that they have been able to unpack why they ended up where they were there. So we talk about the goals for the week. We discuss menu, recipes, because my clients get both. I love food, and I don't want to be doing something that you're not going to enjoy. If you don't enjoy the food, you're not going to stick with it. So that's like a major thing for me. And then we talk about our past week achievements, and again, what exercise are we doing? Where did we fail? How can we do better?
Besides the individual ones, you also have a group program. So tell us about your 3-week group program.
So my 3-week group program, I consider one of my greatest achievements. But it's always evolving. It gives the most benefits to all of the members. It addresses leaky gut first and foremost. We address a sugar detox, which is not easy, and it's not easy to do on your own without any support. And we have addressed parasites, and we discuss the infradian cycle, which not enough women know about. And it's something that's, again, becoming a little bit more popular, but there are so many layers to stack on. And this program really sort of helps you see how you start interjecting and layering these things to not only address your leaky gut, but also consider that you are a female, and consider your cycles, and introducing all of those things that are important so that you're not shifting your hormones like crazy just to lose weight, which is not what I promote in my programs, although it is a side effect of it. But it is intense. It's loaded with good information. It also grants access to like long, yearly close friend stories from mine, where I give sort of insight of what's going on in the in-betweens of the programs. You get a t-shirt, you get like essential oils. And then all throughout the year, we have a special coach come in on every group program that we have. I have 4 this year that I'm doing. The first one was about childhood trauma. Our second one is about perimenopause and menopause and how to sort of enter that. So we have special sort of coaches coming in. We'll have like quantum biology and nutrition coming up as well. And so it's really, really fun. But mainly you get group support, and that, quite frankly, is just priceless.
I wonder if people want to join your program, should they join like the 3-week group program first, then they can like tap into one-on-one counseling, or do you recommend vice versa?
I would say that if you are healthy, right, you're not struggling with any random things that you just can't figure out, or your doctor doesn't really know what's going on, and you've run lots of tests and you still haven't figured out what's going on. If you just have, I hate to say it, but the run-of-the-mill like weight gain or IBS or colitis, or like suffering with acid reflux, or you have prediabetes. I would say the 3-week program is a great place to start with. But if you have something that's really been going on for a while, you've tried a lot of things, I would say the one-on-one coaching.
Sounds good. Anything else you'd like to promote? These sounds like really cool programs.
Oh, well, thank you. I do have something really, really exciting on the pipeline. It is at the end of July, and it is an in-person retreat.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So it's going to be for a lucky 6 women that want to dedicate 3 days or 4 days and 3 nights to address leaky gut and all of these issues. You get one-on-one coaching. I mean, we're going to teach you how to cook some of these foods. There's going to be a world-renowned chef in there. We're going to have doctors coming in and talking about all of their specialties, considering or linked to gut health. So that is one of my most exciting things coming up. And I'm really, really, really happy with how it's turning out. And I cannot wait for the lucky 5 that I'll get to hang out with them in person and do all of these things. You get to try it out. You don't just buy a program and think that you're going to do it and sort of put it on the shelf. Like, you get to really practice and see how you feel, because it's all about how you feel. When you feel this good, you will not go back to feeling bad again.
How do people sign up?
On my link, for sure. There's a link for the website to sign up and come join us. It's going to be so fun.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Thank you so much for sharing these. We're going to make sure that we include all this information in our LinkedIn bio and the posts like promoting this Instagram live. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I hope that everybody that listens gets the information out and starts, being out there at sunrise. It will make the biggest difference in your life, especially for your sleep. And paired with good food, will heal you through your sleep, and you will be so much healthier and so much happier.
And also check out Erika's program and the one-on-one counseling.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.